Mark.
What is it about riding a bike that is so liberating? What unites us all is the craving for that special feeling. This is what inspired the developers at Garneau to create the innovative, award-winning X-Comfort technology, optimizing comfort to maximize performance and, most of all, the good feelings that make us so passionate about riding. The brand new X-Comfort Zone incorporates an elasticized zone that expands up to 5 millimeters to accommodate B through D+ foot widths. We all pedal in the same way. As you push down, your toes naturally splay. And the dynamic changes that happen inside your shoe as your feet contract and expand under pressure as you ride. The pressure and friction created as the outside of your foot expands over and over against your shoe can create serious and painful hot spots and irritations. The longer you ride, the worse it can become. This makes for a level of never-before-experienced comfort in the highest-performing cycling footwear. Every cyclist rides for that special feeling that cycling brings to us. Each one of us has our own version of what it means to enjoy the ride. We just help make it possible.
Go down the road. All right, don't throw your arms in the air. Don't do anything crazy. No random shit, okay?
I had my own strategy. I was actually working for you guys. So what I did at the last moment, I just pulled back. So you guys need to buy me some beers.
Esports. We love to play. Since the 1980s, video games and competitive gameplay have been part of our Western culture. The video arcade, the Atari, Nintendo, PlayStation, even PC gaming are all part of this rich cultural lineage of play. We play ourselves, we watch, we even compete. What makes an esport? Well, any individual or team game that can be played on a level playing field in competition, whether that's live or online.
Still alive! Charm's gonna land on him! Is he gonna be able to walk away? Baker is still running, still damaging, there's another turn, and expansion goes down!
While there are half a dozen top-tier esports, more than 100 different titles are being played competitively around the world. Esports break all boundaries. They're played by men and women across cultures and can be played on consoles, PCs, and even mobile devices. Esports are truly a world sport. Over the last decade, we've seen interest, broadcasting, and live events eclipse those of their traditional sport counterparts. Esports are a massive draw. We love to watch them live, and we love to watch them stream. For people under 30, video games are the most popular media industry in the world, more popular than television, music, or movies. But competitive video game play is not just something we do, it's something we watch. In 2016, more people watched the League of Legends Championships than the World Series, the NBA Championships, or the Stanley Cup playoffs. That makes the top 3 sporting events in the World Cup, the Super Bowl, and a video game competition. Esports are the sport of the rising generation. Talented players, broadcasters, and managers are filling every level from professional, now to collegiate, high school, and even Pee-wee. To many, esports is the biggest world they've never heard of. But to millennials, it's the future of competition, of broadcasting, and of sport. But not the distant future, the future of today. This is esports.
Hello and welcome to CVR World Cup. Hey, Chris!
Hey, what's going on, Beth? This is pretty cool stuff. Welcome, everybody.
Yeah, we are just a little bit away from the gate drop here, and it's nice to see your face. It's nice to be in the booth with you virtually here. It's pretty awesome.
It is. It's pretty darn cool. We haven't done this since CVR World Cup LA, where we got to call the names of many, many cool people. And I think there are a few people that can't really figure out what this is, but the diehards, they know. They know what's going on, don't they?
They do. We are going to be racing a virtual race on Zwift on our smart trainers, and we're going to be doing the London Loop 2 times today, which means, look at that incline, 2 times up Box Hill. So we're going to see a little bit different race than we saw last week. That was a very flat race, and this one, as you've called it, it's the truth. I think that is aptly named.
After a race like this, you're like, well, how is someone hanging on here? We saw in the last race just a little while ago, Morten Vang showed that he was really one of the people that needed to be listed at the top. He earned all the points. Jeff Muse, who had been very successful in previous weeks, high in the points, found himself in a different position maybe than he thought. He missed that big move. The truth for him was not something he was willing. But how about Mary Wilkinson the last time we watched this race? She was pretty fantastic, pulling away at the end. But of course, Jenny Mattis showing that she has all-around skill and managed to climb herself all the way to the top of that group. Okay, so as we get ready for this, why is this race the truth, Beth?
Well, we have Box Hill, and it is insane because that is a good 6.5 minute all-out launch here. Here we are. The men's are coming out of the gate right here. Chris, why don't you call this opener here?
Okay, there's a whole lot of argy-bargy, this is like the day after Thanksgiving sale. Everyone trying to get into to get the deals. The deals in this case are off the front of the race. And you see from this position right here, what it looks like is if you miss that move, it is unpleasant for sure. We check in with someone like Greg Leo, who is the right guy to pay attention to today. Here, just shortly after the drop of the gate, he found himself trying to fight to the front of this. And look at all these guys that want to get in there. Daniel, Willardson, Pekelny. Modi Pekelny is that same guy we got to watch race in real life at CVR World Cup LA, the major. These are some serious racers in this field, Beth.
That's right, they are, and you can see there's a few power-ups being dropped here before the gate. CVR races, you can only use those power-ups in that very first part of the race, and you can see that people are taking advantage of that. But we did see Pokalny in LA, and it's interesting because once you've been to one of these events, these league races become it's like, wait a minute, like these like every race matters, and here we are at race 6. I think we're going to see a lot of fireworks on the hill. And the races that we saw earlier, same thing. They didn't start out much more than 3.5 to 4.5 watts per kilogram, and I think they saved it for the truth, the Box Hill. Yes.
Okay. So it is starting to get heated up over on the women's side now as well. They have just kicked this out of the gates, and things are crazy right away. Lauren McMurtry, who showed that she has incredible strength, especially on the flat super sprinter, she is trying to catch on to the group of Vicky Whitelaw, Cheryl Muldoon, Emily Joyner. These are racers that she knows really, really well. And who is that behind her? But of course, Mackenzie herself and Rachel Ruby Zambrano, who is kicking it again, trying to, this is her second race in a row. She just did this 41-kilometer 2-climb masterpiece not that long ago. And she's like, hey, McMurtry, let's go do this. But McMurtry we saw her in LA do an amazing job.
We have 3 of the ladies here. We have Muldoon, Joyner, and McMurtry. And Mackenzie. Actually, 4 women who were in LA. So these women have met each other in real life. They've raced each other on Zwift, on their trainers, side by side or in an array rather. And they know a lot about their competition from that race, but also from week after week racing with the same ladies. And last week, the race here, we saw Whitelaw break away at the end. And we saw a battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and that was a flat race. So who do you think, Chris? We've probably got some climbers in here that we're probably going to watch shine. Who do we think we're going to see try to make a break
Vicky
on
Whitelaw's
Box?
done an amazing job all the way along the way, but fireworks happening right now in the men's race, trying to make some incredible things happen at the front of this big group. I'll have to tell you and report on my amazing vantage point here before too much longer. There was an explosion as they came out under the tunnel right here. There we see him working hard right now. Kai Barrett.
I think that was Kai. He had a little bit of a mechanical, so he went off the front, fixed his shoe, went off the back, and then got back in.
Kai Barrett is the guy who has shown himself to be an incredible sprinter. We have an incredible sprint from him from 2 weeks ago. We've got the time today. We'll revisit and just show all of the other riders who happen to be maybe watching what they're in for if they let this guy hang around to the beginning, or to the end rather. Greg Leo knows firsthand what it's like when Kai Barrett gets out his Indiana Jones style whip and puts it across your backside. There's Greg Leo from Team Draft as well. Okay.
Well, yeah, Leo and Barrett both are leading in the positions 1 and 2 in the points per race here. There's a couple of people that haven't done all 6 races or the 5 races previous, but those guys are going to be battling for points and maybe trying to protect their position here because it's going to get close over the next couple of weeks.
It's definitely going to get even closer. This is week 6 of week 8. If you're just joining us on Mixer, on Facebook, on I think I'm streaming this to my MySpace page as well. Kai Barrett comfortably back in the group now, trying to catch a little bit of air, a little bit of water, and find himself there. Now he is one of the unattached riders. Well, unattached in a sense that it's not just him anymore. It's he's got teammates, but they're not here in this race. There's Frank Deal on screen for us right now, doing a really, really nice job of staying in it. He has been one of these folks who's upped his backdrop game, right? As folks have tried to make themselves more followable, I guess, by complying with the 2-3 kind of format here, where you can see the full screen of the game and you can also see the rider in a much larger view. You saw Kai a moment ago. He was really, really low on that side. Okay, things are about to get interesting. We could see an attack coming up this hill right now, or they could stay together. It's hard.
Right. Yeah. This is one of those little bumps that I don't expect a lot to happen. But as soon as I say those words, Chris, the riders hear us and they prove us wrong.
Yeah. If we need to animate the race, we don't ring a bell and give away a preem. McKelney pushing off the front here from Frank's view just a little bit. That's not really an escape effort at all. They'll pull him back within minutes, seconds, if you will. But all you have to do, to your point, is say, well, yeah, things are looking pretty normal right now.
Yeah, and I think everybody's kind of just hanging in the pack, and we saw it in some of the earlier races that there wasn't the attacks that we saw last week, but we saw some massive sprints earlier and throughout the day. And judging from what we saw last week with Frank Deal and Barrett and Leo, those 3 are ones to watch, but not to be underestimated are Brandt and some of these other guys. This field in Zone F continues to delight because you just can't, you don't know what's going to happen.
Very interesting race today. This is Frank Garcia joining and making it a trio today instead of just a duo, just for some fun, just exercising all of the different tech here at CVR Studios. How are you doing today, Beth?
I'm great. It's nice to be with you guys.
And we're covering a little bit for Chris, I think. How are you doing today, Chris?
You know what? I am always good. We're making a joke a little bit. If you watched any of that E race, you'll know that the conversation, and I think the folks at home would appreciate this as well. Frank was here and he was working tech and doing cool stuff.
Hey, Beth, do you hear Chris very well?
I can hear Chris. I can hear him. Yes, it's working
it's just
fine.
I can't hear him.
I'll stand behind you. That's not a problem at all. I'm always willing to stand behind and just talk to people. As we're kind of in the calmer moments right here of the race, it's about to get crazy in the men's group just a little bit. No, but the conversation we were having was, I kept looking over at Frank, looking for when he was ready to jump to the conversation. And it didn't happen. I talked the entire time for about an hour and 10 minutes, unbroken, without a single breath. And Frank said, well, yeah, I was going to jump in. I was just waiting for a break.
And there never was one, Chris. I just have to jump right in because pause. I want to know how you rebreathe. You're like a trumpet guy who rebreathes. I don't even hear you take a pause for a breath. It's an amazing thing.
Well, I don't know if it's a gift or a curse. It depends on who's listening, really. Whether it's a gift or a curse. Most people, my wife would probably say that it's a curse. All right.
Well, we are on lap 1 of 2 laps in the London course. Total 29.8 kilometers, 18.48 miles. And that distance is pretty deceiving because we're about to come to Box Hill, and you called this course the truth because you hit Box Hill not once but but twice. And we're going to see who our climbers are. It might be a little bit different than what we saw last week. Chris, what do you think we're going to see here as we approach Box Hill?
So Greg Leo taking off the hat as we look from his point of view. As we grab the main viewers, we'll see this thing start to break apart. We definitely have Team Draft trolling the front. This is the opportunity. Greg said to me in a chat recently, he and I've been communicating a little bit more regularly, that that this hill was the one. If he could find a way to break Kai Barrett, then he could have a win. If he didn't, he's got to contend with him all the way to the finish line, and that is not the condition you want to be in. A little bit of a push up here. Kai Barrett, as we look over his shoulder, that is the guy we want to pay close attention to. You can see his camera right there. He's working. He's diligent. He's paying close attention, but he is not getting too far away. Kai Barrett with a little bit of a kick right here, trying to just stay closer to the front. He knows who the big dogs are. The littler dogs, they're starting to slide to the back. Now, these are all fabulous riders, but not everybody can win this race. In fact, by my math, Beth, only one can win this race.
Only one gets to win.
Only
That's
one,
right.
in fact, gets to win. Greg and Leo about to kick it off here. They're starting to thin out. What does that feel like, Beth?
Well, you know, when you start to see one or two people, you know, get 1 or 2 seconds, you can see on the right-hand side of the screen where you see the negative here. Looking at Greg Leo and you look at the right-hand side of the screen, you can see Brandt minus 0.0. So that person isn't getting away, but that's sort of like a little warning to the riders downstream of that, you know, that they need to match or exceed those watts per kilogram in front, or you can slip away so fast, and it is so disheartening when you feel that start to open up. But Greg Leo is not going to let it happen. 7.0 watts per kilogram. And, you know, we watched this race earlier and we saw the first time up Box Hill in the D zone. You know, they shed a couple riders, 2 or 3 riders. But here we're seeing gaps of 1, 3, 5 seconds. So we, you know.
It is. It's starting to tear apart, and Greg Leo on the front making things happen. He is with right there with his with Brandt, his teammate, trying to push this thing away from Kai Barrett. But Kai Barrett, very, very smart, staying right on his wheel, not doing more work than he needs to. Frank Deal from Team Experimental also doing a little bit of work there at the front. He's got to get out of the saddle, put more watts into those pedals, but he is being marked undoubtedly by Kai Barrett, but that's starting to slip away just a little bit behind him. It looks like Brandt and Deal are doing that pacemaking there at the front, but Leo wants it a little bit more, comes to the front himself and starts pushing this even harder. This is definitely something he wants to take for himself. He doesn't want to let any of these other guys do it. Frank Deal from Team Experimental, those would be the slashes that surround the alien face behind his back. As you look at his cool overlay, things are looking pretty good for Frank Deal. He's definitely in a spot of bother in his Deschutes Brewery jersey there, but he's doing good work. And there goes Greg Leo off the front. This is exactly what he predicted he might be able to do. Get a separation here. The question is, can, in fact, he break away from Kai Barrett and get all the way away? Now, he cannot allow Brandt, that is, to pull him back to his own teammate. So he's setting that false tempo at the front. Folks are starting to pool around him, as you would expect that they would do when someone's setting kind of a false tempo. But Greg Leo, Dr. Greg Leo to you and I, 5.3 watts per kilo on average, and it looks like his teammate Brandt just stepping it back just a little bit. Don't want to do more than the guy we're chasing, but it's only about 20 yards back to that gap in front of him. And I'm talking about the group chasing Leo.
Yeah, and it is so deceptive sometimes, those 3 or 4 seconds, and you know, with that group, we don't have the same draft dynamics, but you still do have a group. So some of the people in that little pack get this little micro rests. And when we were on Greg's screen, you can see here on Barrett's screen here, you can see their how long it's taken them to get up Box Hill. So they have like a 6-minute effort here. All right, back to the women here with Cheryl Muldoon. They are on the hill. Looks like Whitelaw has a 1-minute gap on Bullock, Joyner, and Muldoon, and Mackenzie a little bit with her friend McMurtry behind that as well. So with Joyner, Bullock, and Muldoon, now we know that you know, these ladies are strong climbers. cameras. We've seen them race in real life. But Whitelaw, that minute, Chris, I don't think these three are going to. They're going to have to work together and keep the pedal down to be able to close that up, because Whitelaw is just out of here. Here's the telemetry. You can see that right now, live, real time, 21.9. She's 130 ahead of Emily and Allison, and Cheryl's just starting to fall off here. So some separation, but the chase 1, 2, and 3 might come back together. But I think that Whitelaw might not let them get back to her. She's looking strong. She looks pretty comfortable and relaxed, Chris, don't you think?
Yeah, she does, and she's a great climber, very slight rider, doing a nice job getting away and off the front. She has shown that ability many times. All right, things getting a little bit crazy in the men's field continually. This is the view of Kai Barrett, and he's gotten his own Akibi shuffle going on there, leaning back and forth on the bike. He's trying to get on the wheel of Brandt right there. They have closed down Leo. Now he's doing the right thing. Brandt on the wheel of Frank Deal, trying to make sure that they don't get away. He doesn't want to let that guy drift off front, so he's going to pull him back. And now the gang's all here. Jeff Creel from Team Vision also in this group now. It is 5 of them, but there are a couple that are closing really fast. So Daniel, Mordert, those are just a few of those. Okay, the smile on his face, glad that he's there. Here is what it looks like inside the pain cave of Lauren McMurtry. She is in the rain, chasing down Mackenzie, trying to stay on her wheel, and that gap is starting to open. Cannot let that happen. That's some scary stuff right there. Definitely trying to just hang on to her wheel. She wants to come over the top with somebody else. You don't want to be alone. Rachel Ruby Zambrano just a little bit further behind. This is the view of Cheryl Muldoon. This is interesting. TCH behind her name. Not sure what that's all about. Sometimes that'll show up. You'll go to a race, you'll go to an event, you'll have to put in the tag to make sure that you get counted for it. And then you'll line up real quick for this one and not have time to change your own details. But we know, especially from that Purple Pain Cave, that she's got quite a few things going on. Oh, you know what? TCH, she's made a team switch. She is.
I was just going to chime in and let you know. Yes, she has left the Vixens and has moved on to the cycling hub. So that is what the TCH stands for there.
Well, it's just musical chairs this time of year. You know, the music stops and then someone's on a different team. That's for sure.
Swing your partner round and round, round and round we go. But we have Emily Joyner. Look at Lauren waving to the camera or waving to someone maybe in the background. I love these looking inside the pain caves. And, you know, as we were talking about, Cheryl's always has the cool lighting and, you know, and here we are with Vicky Whitelaw. I mean, it's fun to see the differences of, you know, she's got sunlight. I'm in the dark, you know, and you get used to racing like this. But, you know, the ladies who win the A bracket will be bringing themselves to a real life event. So, Chris, let's talk a little bit about how this works for people, you know, that this league is race 6 out of 8. Your best 6 out of 8 will count. Let's talk a little bit about going to the live event. These ladies are going to be out of their comfy pain caves. One of them will be.
Right now, it looks like there's a very real chance that Vicky Whitelaw could make that live event. And we're talking about, of course, the CVR World Cup event in Vancouver, British Columbia, that's going to come up at the end of June. And she has not raced against a lot of these well-known names, the Alison Kubotas of the world, and many, many more, but may have the opportunity to do that if she accepts the bid and wins out. Now, she is a former UCI World Tour rider from, of course, Australia. And she, for those of you who don't know, that's the Australian flag, right? Is that Hawaii? No, it's not Hawaii. The value is that she will get to race in person with some pretty strong folks. I would imagine someone like Esther will qualify. We could very well see who else. Who do you think will be there?
Well, you know, so we know that you know, I don't know Vicky Whitelaw, but obviously from her racing, it's just been off the charts. We know Emily Joyner is strong. You know, there's a chance if for maybe Emily to close that gap. But you know, we were talking about Esther Meisels, and you know, there was some fireworks. We've got a couple other strong ladies in that zone that are going to give her a run for her money. You know, the likes of Lucy and arena. So this is going to be a very exciting live final event, because just in one season to the next, the level of competition, the type of riders, the high level of racing that we're seeing is remarkable, and it's all across all zones. We're just seeing so much strength in the field. So Whitelaw comes over the top, 2.7 watts per kilogram. Joyner still pushing 4 watts per kilogram, but 248 back. Bullock might be able to close that gap to Joyner, and here's Cheryl grinding it out, just 32 seconds back from Bullock. But she looks pretty comfortable. She's a light rider. She can climb. We'll see if she can make up that gap and try to team up with Bullock and see if she can't chase down Joyner. That would be an exciting thing to watch.
It would, and this is an exciting race. Period.
Yes,
that's how cool it is.
Well, and so when we talk about that, there are some people who are watching that may not be familiar with racing. All of these riders in their pain cave are on smart trainers, and the smart trainers are communicating. They're the controller for the game, and the watts that they're putting in on the pedals are measured, and that's sending it to the game, and that's moving their avatar through this virtual world. And the effort is real, and there's no letting up. We might see some of these guys in their pain cave now that we're seeing all these streamers change their body position, maybe let off on the pedals a little bit, but it is a whole different dynamic to be racing on your trainer and to feel the gradient changes on the road, because when the hill you hit Box Hill, we're not just saying it's a climb. The game is sending a signal to the trainer to add resistance so that you feel that hill. So this is a very real sensation, and they're going to be feeling it, especially on the second time around. And then here she comes. Cheryl comes over the top.
It becomes about that second time around, right, Cheryl? It's the rain right here in the virtual world of virtual London, right? This is as they're coming down the backside here, Fox Hill, and we see, she is in her pain cave. She's made a change in colors. That was purple a week ago, and this week it is blue. Well, maybe it's still kind of purplish, but Cheryl, a strong rider, and putting herself in a great spot here. She has gotten separated a little bit from those teammates. From those other racers, but she is in a good spot. Lauren McMurtry checking in on social media, as you do on a serious climb like this. I'd be looking for anything to pay close attention to other than the pain of my legs on a climb like this. She's doing nice
I think she's talking to. I think she's talking to Julie McKenzie, her friend. They both raced together at CVR World Cup. They're right there together, trying to get something going, work together, communicate, suffer together. Sometimes just having your teammate text you, or if you're on Discord or whatever, just say, keep it going, knowing that you have somebody who's not just holding you accountable, but pushing you. So, they are alone in their pain caves, but they are communicating with their friends and teammates on course. And you can see right now she's her heart rate's up 171. Is what you would expect coming over the top, and she'll come with her friend. Yep. Okay, now back to the men.
There are big movements happening in the men's field. Yes. A huge attack by Greg Leo just a moment ago, starting to kick this thing into high gear. Again, trying to shake the likes of Kai Barrett, who has just been sticky on his wheel throughout this process. Really, really aggressive. He said coming into this that he was going to do everything he could, and Kai Barrett then attacks over the top. He takes a punch and then delivers one, and they're going to have to try to catch back onto his wheel as quickly as they can, and they do. These are the men that are paying close attention to the leaderboard and who want to come out on top. Greg Leo, a fantastic competitor. Could he beat Kai Barrett outside head-to-head? Maybe. The conditions are right, but these guys have been giving everything every week, and they are very friendly to one another, but they're also unbelievably competitive. This has become a group of 3 men right here, right? Greg Leo, that would be O'Daniel, right? Excuse me, Motor.
Motor.
Motor. Yeah, that's right. And Kai Barrett, his teammate, Brant, 4 seconds back now, trying to catch on. This is what it looks like in telemetry. You've got Kai and Greg and one more in that group. And you've got James, Matthew, and Frank just 2 seconds behind. This is going to be a septet here pretty soon. You know what a septet is?
5.
Yes.
There goes the
Yes.
professor again.
There we go. Exactly.
I love going to school at CVR World Cup with my friend Dr. Chris Haskell. All right, so
That's
we
right.
are here on board with Weedman, and we get a look into his pain cave in his garage. There's a lot of sun streaming into that nice sunny pain cave, but we're looking at him here as we talk about the streams. These riders are streaming to CycleView.tv, and as we roll through, here's Madi Patelny, also was at CVR World Cup in Los Angeles. Great rider, great person, smiles for miles, and also a really fierce rider. I love all of these different streams. Here we go, rolling through. It's hard to see who we're watching here. It's I think he races for River City Racing.
That could be true.
I saw that. I could my eyes without my glasses. But we really appreciate all of these guys streaming as we cycle through. But if you have a favorite racer and Chris and I and Frank aren't talking about them, you can go to cycleview.tv and take a look at the different racer streams, and you can follow along. So you can listen to us or not, but you could also watch your favorite riders and you can cheer them on so they can know that you're watching. I know that some of the people who are Zwift members go ahead and give them a ride on in the game if you follow them, but there is a way to cheer on these riders at cycleview.tv. If you're just new to this and you say, hey, this guy looks like he's working hard, I'd like to cheer for him, you can do that and send a message. So these guys are working hard, and week after week they bring us a great show.
Yes, they do. It's why we like it so much. Virtual bike racing meets real life crazy bike racing, and that's what's happening right now. But your guess is as good as mine. Whoever it is, doing nice work sitting in the position overall.
Yep. Yep, he's staying right there in the pack. He looks pretty comfortable taking a drink there. A lot of Tron bikes in the pack there that we just saw in all the avatars. You can also see here as we look at Weedman's, you can see that squiggly line graph on the bottom, and you can see the different colors, and those colors represent sort of their relative effort. And not everybody will have that display on. You can see here that Kai does have his on, and you can see those massive red line efforts for when he had to really put the pedal down to, there were some attacks, there were some gaps to close, and there's also some positions to hold, but they did get back together. We've got Modert and Brandt and Deal and Leo and Creel and Barrett. So these names, we did have them break them up, but they're back together again. All right, back to the ladies. I love that we know what Cheryl is listening to. That's awesome.
Yep.
I think that I'd have a hard time not knowing what songs if I was having a lip syncing contest.
Yeah, she's got a lot of data for us, which we appreciate a ton.
That she does.
Cheryl
Yes.
Muldoon did get separated there just a little bit a while ago as it coming up the climb. Sitting in fourth place overall, Vicky Whitelaw in that first position, and oh my goodness, she is exhibiting her dominance right here. Lauren McMurtry doing a nice job staying with her teammate here and friend, Julie McKenzie. And they're doing a nice job just kind of tapping out a good tempo here. She's fighting the sweat, the perspiration as it's happening here. One of the most popular cyclists in this event right now. She had a great week last week and really geared up for some fantastic sprints.
We had a great
nice work.
We had a great article on Aussie.com called "The Sweaty Esports Are Coming." Aussie.com is famous for predicting future trends, and we were certainly honored to be part of that.
Yeah,
that was pretty dang cool.
It was cool, and that's definitely one of the things when you're setting up the stream and you're getting ready for the race and you're doing the mental prep. It's a different mental prep when you're doing an esport, right? Because you have to have the technology to work, and you get all that set up, and you're streaming, you're in the pen, and you look and you forget your towel or you forget your fan. These are like critical things that you need to have handy. So and look at the Vicky right now. now. She is 3.9, 4.0 watts per kilogram, looking pretty comfortable, looking pretty relaxed, not backing off, despite the fact that she has a 4-minute lead on Joyner. Now, you were saying, Chris, that she's a former UCI World Tour rider, so she's she does not have a triathlon background. I would imagine if she can sort of hammer out this, that she might have been a triathlete.
You're not kidding, and she definitely has the pedigree to do this very well. It's interesting. Cycling, we were talking about this before, is one of those things that tends to breed cyclists 3 different ways, right? One is that you're raised in an area where cycling is big. You get into it at an early age. You have parents that cycle. You're out on the track. You're part of the youth team, and you do that thing, right? Then there is the group of cyclists, who may like the activity, and they get out and they get a bike and they ride with friends, and then they just work a long time to get better and better and better and don't do it very easily. And then there's another group altogether who just get on a bike and realize that they're faster than everybody, that they can suffer harder than everybody else, and are just naturals. Someone like Lauren McMurtry, I think of in that respect. It doesn't matter what age you take up cycling. You're just good at it. You're just better than most at it, just straight out of the box. And I also think of that as Vicky Whitelaw. Now, she did find herself, of course, as a pro tour rider in the women's field for many, many years. She's moved on from that, but still loves that thrill of competition. And she came onto the scene here. She was just sort of known before she hit the virtual bike racing. And look at the huge gap she's got going right there. Look at how big that is.
Yeah, this telemetry really shows how the gaps are forming here, how much better Vicky did on that climb. She just killed the climb, left everybody else in the dust. Everybody else is splinter, but you can see really the good relative distances here of all the different people on telemetry.
Yeah, and it's really, really helpful to see sort of the terrain along that too. So looking at the men's telemetry right now, we've got Matthew 21-second gap on Greg, James, Frank, and Kai. So what the heck? Look at him go. That's
when they came back through, they just kind of let him trickle off the front. It was only a few seconds when they came up through Trafalgar Square, and Greg, watching closely for his his compatriot / competitor. And here we go to Greg Leo, seeing it from his position. He's been marking, trying to get away, and Kai Barrett has been marking him. Then he has been, in a sense, marking Kai Barrett, trying to say that he's going to be here. This is really interesting. That is not a face we tend to see from Kai Barrett, which is one of a little bit of fatigue and concern. He's definitely running hotter than he normally does. He's probably got a few bursts left in the tank here, but he definitely has had to work harder this race than he has previous races. Greg Leo is really trying to shake him off like your cousin at the mall, right? Hey, meet us at the pretzel place. We're just going to go into Hot Topic, and then you totally ditch your cousin.
That's I've never ditched my cousin, never. But again, the climb is a good 6.5 minute effort, right? So
Beth, you've never ditched anybody?
No.
Oh my, that's half the fun. I ditch my own children when I get a chance.
Well, see, I have that opportunity coming ahead of me, right? So
exactly.
Yes. All right. So
no, I did it when they were very young.
Oh, you did?
I didn't have to wait. I mean, my son one time, got his own stroller, went out the front door naked, and we were chasing him down the street.
Oh, here.
And this has been another great parenting moments with Beth and Frank.
Oh,
it's fabulous.
My goodness.
Speaking of great moments, we're looking at Kai Barrett now trying to chase onto the wheel of Greg Leo, who put in another big hit. Now, his real success would come here if he could actually bridge up to his teammate, Matthew Brandt, who's just a little bit further ahead. He would be, in fact, just about 5 seconds ahead. But if he could bridge up there, unbeknownst to Kai Barrett, which doesn't look like it's going to happen, they might be able to motor off the front together. But it looks like these three are going to come together in the end. There may be a chance here in just a little bit. Let's see if we can call this up in replay from previous weeks. But there was a sprint from 2 weeks ago that shows you, I think, what Greg Leo was afraid of happening again on this course. That course was, in fact, 2 weeks ago that they raced this, and it was a painful one for him, Frank Deal, seeing it from his point of view with Brandt just a little bit further up the road. This is what they've had to look at all day, that huge gap in front of somebody that you know that you need them to close, but you don't want to close it yourself.
Right, right. And one of those things too is that when you're looking, when you're climbing and you're seeing those seconds in terms of gaps grow, and then you take a look at the watts per kilogram, it's so deceiving because depending on the rider's weight and the algorithm, you have to do at least what the person is doing in front of you, but that much more. So, and I've seen times when you're even doing that much more, and it's not shutting down. So if you can be the person, obviously, if you're in the front, you're wanting to just make sure that you're coming from a protection standpoint and trying to say, I'm just going to continue to do a little bit more than the people behind me and hope that they give up, because 3 seconds becomes 5 seconds, becomes 10 seconds. And when they come through the banner and it flattens out a little bit, we see that rubber band thing happen where you're covering more ground because you're on a relatively flat part, but the people are still climbing so that it stretches out when you come over the top. So those 3-5 seconds can grow really big. And of course, when you get to the very, very top, you have that last little kicker, and that's another spot where you can kind of put the nail in the coffin before you maybe get a little bit of rest going down the backside of Ox Hill, down Fox Hill. So, and here we are. We're still looking at Barrett, 5.3 watts per kilogram, 2 seconds back from Mo Dirt. So I think he is going to do that. Greg Leo's right there. Creel, though, I'm not sure. 9 seconds. That's going to happen. Brandt, 19. Frank Deal, 19 seconds with Brandt, 19 seconds. So, let's see. Hopefully, he can dig deep. We know Frank is quite a cyclist. He's been having great results week after week here in the F race. So we'll see if he can continue to have a strong showing here, which I think he has a lot left in the tank here. I think that he does
too. Yeah, he does, and he's super strong. He's gonna have a great finish. He's gonna get plenty of points. He's probably even gonna be able to chase him out right there. Okay. Things are starting to heat up one more time on the other side as well. I will be very interested to see what Greg Leo can do here. He's got to make his move soon. He doesn't want to tow Kai Barrett to the line. He wants everything out the door today, and he's going to do it. Kai responds, definitely marking Greg Leo. Maybe that wasn't nearly as hard a push as you want. Sometimes, especially in virtual cycling, you can put in a little dig of an effort, which causes the other person to respond, and they end up in front of you, right? And then you can draft off of them. You're in the better position. It's almost like changing that position. This is the way that Kai Barrett sees it. He catches on to the tail of Greg Leo from Team Draft. These folks are back and forth, back and forth. He tried really hard early in the race, but look at all of that red power.
I was just going to say that that is pain zone right there. And, we were talking earlier, too, with some of the races that we saw, taking a look at their faces, right? It's like some of these folks don't have a big animated I'm dying face, while other people do. He looks for the kind of effort he's been putting in with all that red. His face looks relatively calm. He doesn't look.
Yeah, Kai was starting to crack.
Was he?
Leo definitely. Yeah, he definitely was. So Kai's got the poker face kind of going. And, Leo shows a little bit more of his feelings, comes through with the body language. But Kai was definitely starting to be on the rivet. You see that Leo had put in a big, long effort. The problem is now Kai's getting that recovery. So it's easy for me to say that Leo should have gone a little bit longer. But I think another minute worth of effort, and I think he would have cracked Kai there on the climb. Now, it's going to be Kai's going to have odds-on favorite in the sprint. And we see here that Leo, if you look at his screen, if we go back to Leo here just a second, you'll see that he's holding power, and then he starts to slide away. So I think he gave it his all to drop him on the climb. It was a great climb. But I think he, definitely has an effort here. But sprint efforts are probably not the way to get away from Kai at this point.
No, no, and here we have a little bit of a push by Kai on that last little bump. You see those numbers going into the red, and he's out of the saddle, and he's at over 10 watts per kilogram, double digits here. It's a little blurry on my screen, but digging in, and Greg Leo right behind, matching him, saying, "No, you don't. You're not going to take this away from me." Creel 7.8, still a massive effort, but might.
Now, if Greg can have some continuance here, someone needs to have some continuance. There we go. Greg thought about it there, maybe thought better of it, but that was a good place to have some continuance. I think one of the things that we lack often in Zwift racing is continuance. We sort of Zwift terrain, the terrain of the virtual world dictates how hard you go. When it goes up, people go hard, but when it levels out or goes down, they tend to, sort of back off the gas. And I think a lot of times victory is just a minute or two away in continuance. But of course, that's hard to do. Mentally, you want to sort of stop, bring back once you hit the top of the hill, you're like, oh, I can back off.
Well, and that also comes because we're bringing our outside selves inside, because that's what we might do outside. And that's what I find when I watch a lot of the time trialists. They just kind of hammer right over the top of the hills and don't stop, because they are used to just hammering, hammer. But sometimes that's wasted energy. We were talking about that earlier, Frank, that sometimes, there's not a lot of conservation going on. The other end of the lack of continuance is the conservation. All right, so back here with Whitelaw and Muldoon. So Muldoon still 42 seconds back from Allison. It looks like I don't see Joyner in this list. Did we lose?
Oh, it looks like she's backed out of this a little bit, finds herself in a different spot. That spot might be on the couch. She's no longer in the overall standings here. But you see Mackenzie and McMurtry doing a nice job working together to tap out this pace, outrun a few folks. It looked a while for their legs. Zambrano might have been able to catch them, but that gap has just tripled, quadrupled. She definitely has moved into a different type of riding here. She's happy to have the the overall points for participating and the fitness for doing it, but she's not racing anymore. They are trying to pull back Muldoon, and Muldoon is doing her own thing off the front, working hard. But it doesn't look like, they are coming up to this climb. Interesting things can happen on this climb. Cheryl is a great climber, and she's already heavily engaged into that climb. But McMurtry just trying to tap out that pace with her teammate. It'll be interesting to see if they broach the top of that climb together. They're definitely simpatico in a lot of ways, including Jersey.
Yes, and and as we look to the gap there, but to Cheryl Muldoon is it was closing a little bit while she's slowing down on the climb right now. McMurtry and Mackenzie have a little bit of opportunity to work together.
Oh my gosh, Beth, here is what's going on in the world of Kai Barrett. Throwing it down, making a big attack on the stairway. Greg Leo knows he's got to come with him, may still not want to contend with him, comes around him. Is this a counterattack or is this just a drift by? Might be a drift by. It drops dramatically. Then Kai picks it up again. Things going crazy. From Greg Leo's perspective, you see him coming around the corner and up this hill. He responds to Kai Barrett, who did a really clever little attack right there. This is not one of those attacks that will win the race for you, but you can certainly soften up the legs and maybe take the temperature, not the right way, of the person that you're racing against. Frank, is there a psychological value to an attack right there when no one expects it?
Absolutely. One of the things that you're trying to do is just psych the other person out. I call it, sort of softening the spirit or killing the spirit, if you will. I just feel so strong today. I'm feeling so good. You tried to take me out on top of the climbs, but I'm just going to show you I'm not done. I've got a lot of energy. Now, the question is it a bluff? Is that all really Kai had? And he's just trying to get into the mind of Greg Leo and say, hey, we're pretty much done, and you don't have a chance in the sprint because I'm going to put up some big watts, or is Leo going to get there? I'm going to let you do the call, Chris.
Oh boy. Okay. Here we go. This is about to get crazy, go nuts. This is the trio: Kai Barrett, Jeff Creel, and Matthew Brandt, Greg Leo. 2 weeks ago, we saw this exact sprint finish, and it was Kai Barrett who imposed his will on Greg Leo, who did a nice job. Greg Leo finds himself on the front. He's looking around. Guaranteed, he's got his eyes cast to the right of his screen. He's looking at the overall watts for those folks. Kai Barrett, I believe, already has the spot picked out where he wants to go right here. And this is the camera angle we want. Thank you, motorcycle guy. But you know who may come out with something special here is Jeff Creel. There goes Greg Leo, starting to dig this one out. Huge gap by Greg Leo. And it's going to be Barrett who's going to try to close him down. There's still plenty of runway left. Leo's got to take an advantage when he has it. He got a gap now, and he may be able to hold it. But Barrett is closing quick. Here he comes. Is there enough runway left? He definitely has the ability and does. Passes him right there before the banner. That was a great move by Greg. Even better by Kai Barrett. This is what it looked like from the position of Greg Leo. As you see it, he got a great jump. Huge gap, didn't he, Beth?
Oh, it was I was so surprised to see Barrett come around because Greg wanted it. Last week, Barrett just got him by a wheel at the line, and look at him go like a bullet comes Barrett around
crazy
his
going nuts.
shoulder.
And here's what it looked like from Greg Leo's point of view. That's over 1,000 watts to Kai Barrett. Well over 1,000 watts. That guy rung the bell big time. He is a sprinter, super sprinter. Oh my goodness, great race. Shaking his head, very, very pleased with how things went. All right, back on board with the women. Here they are. This is Cheryl Muldoon climbing. She's in fourth position overall. Emily Joyner has rejoined inside.
I think we
can see her. Yeah, we can just see her.
I think she just rounded a corner. Sometimes when you're in the game, you might not see on the list. I'm not sure why that happened, but happy to see that that Emily is there. We've got Vicky Whitelaw, and we've got Allison, and then Cheryl. So they're all kind of spread out a little bit, and except that Lauren is able to work with her teammate Julie, and we'll see if she can close that down. So Whitelaw coming here up the steps, the last little punch.
Right. Whitelaw chasing Zambrano, who's now a lap back. She's almost closer to the tail end of the race than she is to her next competitor in this case, and that is an impressive effort. McMurtry and of course Mackenzie doing their best on the climb together, trying to just tap it out in a nice effort up over the top. They're getting faster and faster together all season rather, and that's really impressive to see. But Vicky Whitelaw from, of course, Australia.
4.9 to the end, to the end. And she's got no one chasing her. She's just, that's also a, when you're racing and you see that someone, that's so revealing, right? That's just such an amount of, what? They don't have to do that. They are, and one, they're capable, and two, why not? They're here to race, and they're not gonna just, give up because they're in the front. They're not gonna take a vacation with that strong a lead. It's nice to see her still working so hard and wanting to earn the win and leave nothing on the table. I loved it. I hope she sprints. It's always fun, even though she doesn't need to.
Do a little bit of work. Last week she was concerned. She was riding hard, and her heart rate monitor went out. It died. And I mean, on the stream, you can see things like that. That's something that is going to happen. Even though we try to prevent it, it's something that happens. But what she ended up doing is getting a second heart rate monitor, pairing it, actually going to the pairing screen and letting it drop off. She basically dropped off the group for a second to get that back. She fought back into that group and then eventually went away from them. In one of the most convincing displays I think we have seen in CVR World Cup League, which was awesome. It was just awesome. She is super, super strong in every phase of this game, and it's great. I really hope that we get to see her in person, meet her, and learn a little bit more about her. I mentioned last week that she was kind of a question mark. Didn't know much about her, and then we found we saw her for the first time, right? And immediately I became a fan. I'm like, oh boy, she's fighting super hard here. She has closed the gap dramatically, and if she finishes in the position, which she just did, waves to everybody, throws her hands up, thank you. You know, she reminds me of. She has a body type very similar to Kristen Armstrong. She reminds me of Kristen, who I know, and also looks quite a bit like Jen Halliday, a former professional cyclist that I know as well. There's just this body type of a super all-arounder like Vicky. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's really, really fun to watch them in their pain cave and see them work. And here we are with McMurtry still chugging away on the climb with Julie, and it doesn't look like they have closed it down to Cheryl. And Cheryl has, like, actually you can see they're on the 5.7. So although they're still working really hard and working together, and they're matching jerseys and helping each other up the climb. You know, Cheryl is just hammering it out over the top and holding her position. She's got Bullock ahead of her, and as we can see, Joyner, who looks to be taking the silver. And if everything stays the way that it stays, which it might, because that's a 3. So Allison and then Cheryl. But you know, this is what is amazing. Although they're spread out, although we don't expect position changes, you know, everyone just continues to bring it, and we get to watch them work on these streams, and it's awesome to see. It's awesome to see them work so hard. Now, again, this is the course. You can see Vicky has got her first top spot like she did last week. She didn't have any of the technical problems that she had last week, and you know, and Lauren, she was fun to meet in Los Angeles. She and Julie were not only fierce competitors, but just dynamic personalities. And you can see that on their streams too. You can kind of get a little glimpse of who they might be in real life, outside and off the bike. But it's I'm really glad to see these guys doing the spring lead after doing LA.
Yeah, and you got to race against them, which was pretty amazing.
It was a lot of fun. You know, I mean, the going into a live World Cup event is nerve-wracking on so many levels. And you know, you're meeting your competition, and everybody. You know, you've seen them in game, you've maybe seen them stream, but that's where the rubber hits the road, right? That's where the weigh-ins and the calibrated equipment, and we're seeing everybody in the league just take all of those things just up the level of professionalism, you know, where people are talking in groups about making sure that their trainers are calibrated. And, you know, because when you get to the live event and you meet these people, you want to be able to bring it. And, like I said, Lauren was like not only super strong and brought it, but she was also just a really dynamic personality to be around.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Lots of folks chiming in. Claudia Baring, we know her. Saying amazing. Allison Kubota, 20 watts per kilogram. That is what Kai Vera put out on that sprint, which is unreal. Sylvia Holmes, another great racer. Go Cheryl. Very nice to have these folks chiming in and participating along the way. Lots of great commentary all over the place. Thank you, Mixer. Thank you, Facebook, for tuning in. This is pretty cool. We're coming to the end of this race. I think we can give you just a little bit more of the overall description of the outcome here. Let's just give them the men's podium here real quick. Men's A, believe it or not, puts Joshua. Well, excuse me. We'll investigate that one. There's some interesting detail. But Kai Barrett across the first in that big sprint. Greg Leo. Second position overall. Matthew Brandt in 4th. Frank Deal coming in 5th. But in the point standing, Frank Deal, at least for another week, holds on to that top spot. Matthew Brandt in the 2nd spot. Chris Olson, who did not have a good finish today, in 3rd. Greg Leo in 4th overall. Okay, Lauren McMurtry right now is the big finish.
Replay.
Here we go. Here's the big finish in the men's replay. This is what we saw not that long ago. unbelievable sprint finish, which we did not have in the women's. Here it is. As you see here in slow motion, about half speed, Kai Barrett very carefully watching what was happening around him, easing off the pedals, right, waiting for Greg Leo to explode. Watch Greg's numbers. Here they go. Starting to really ramp up. He's already at 5, kicking it into high gear. Here's back with Lauren again. Sorry, I had to reset this real quick. I'll show it to you in just a second. My bad. But she's getting ready to kick up and over the top here. All right, here's what it was with the men. Kai Barrett is just easing at the back there just a little bit. And you notice when he gets those watt dropouts, Beth, that he's really just being contemplative, right? He's waiting for the right moment. He knows that Greg Leo is going to explode. He knows that he wants to come from behind and not go off the front. And there he goes. 18.2 watts per kilo. Ding. That's someone ringing the bell, throwing the hammer down on the proverbial carnival game and sending that thing and ringing the bell. Greg Leo manages to stay at 15.5 watts per kilo for a minute and just stays up in that 12, 13. But look at Kai Barrett, 1,100, 1,200, 1,400 watts, 1,600 watts. That is
crazy,
out
Chris.
of control. But here, even in the slow motion, you see it pass.
Yeah, it is insane. And as he comes around, it's almost like Leo is standing still. This is slow motion, and look at how fast he comes around. And you know that next week, Greg Leo is going to have something to say about that, because this is the second week in a row that we've seen Barrett just come around at the end. So there's going to be some, I'm sure, some adjustments. Leo is a smart racer. He went with like 400 meters, I think, to go, and probably thinking he could outlast Barrett, but Barrett proving that, you can drop 18 watts per kilogram and get a second on me, and I will still catch you. So that's going to play into Leo's strategy, I'm sure, next week.
I can't get over 1,000 watts on the bike unless the person I'm chasing is holding a Twinkie. And these guys can do it because they want to win a race. That's pretty impressive stuff. He is digging hard here, trying to get away. He knows that Frank Deal had the fastest time the last time around on the London Loop, but he's going to try to get there. And then look at his face going, no, I thought I had it. Right, here's Leo
it's
sees.
Unbelievable to see. Yeah, it's unbelievable to see. And to see, Kai come around like that. I mean, it is just, look at that smile. Look at that smile.
I don't know that that's a smile. If someone smiles at you like that, they probably have a knife inside a pumpkin. They're ready to spring on you.
That's a smile. That's a smile. That is a smile. He was happy with that effort. It was through gritted teeth, maybe there.
Just as a fan of CVR racing, I hope we get to see those two racers at a live event. I don't know how it's going to work with winning brackets and Frank Deal too. Another guy I would just love to see at one of these live events. They're just outstanding. All right, we're getting close to the end here. We're going to check out. Cheryl Muldoon has just come across the finish. She's just kind of trying to get her breath back and maybe just end that ride, save that ride. You earned it. Look
That's
at
right.
That.
You have. That's right.
That's
Vicky
cool.
Whitelaw, then Emily, then Cheryl, Allison, then Cheryl, for the top 4 there. But you definitely, there are moments when you finish the race and your mouse is nearby and maybe there's like a little bit of sweat or something gross and you're like, please don't roll over and click don't save. We do know that those files live on our documents and we can upload them manually. But there's always that amount of panic. And that's another thing with these live streams. You're like, no, you saw me. It counts. It has to count, So as you, as you're coming to the end of that, making sure you save that file. So this has been a Zone F race, and you can see here the finishing positions for the ladies. And as you said, Chris, the top finishers in the A bracket will be going to CVR World Cup in Vancouver. And in both the men's and the women's field, the level of competition just keeps getting better. So excited to see.
Absolutely does. And we want to thank Sarah, of course, the progenitors of Cycle Ops, Power Tap. We want to thank Garneau, who produces these fabulous jerseys, of course, the Hunter Allen Peaks coaching group, who makes some of these racers even stronger and stronger every week, which is awesome. Beth, thank you for joining. Of course, you have your own zones that you cover. It's fun when you and I get to come together and call one of these things, and I'm really looking forward to our next event.
I'm looking forward to it too. Well, thanks everyone for watching, and there's still Zone G and H coming up tonight. So if we're not there, Chris, I don't know which ones you're doing, but make sure you do cycleview.tv to watch your favorite racers.
Awesome. See you guys soon.
See you soon.